What's going on, y'all? It is Moldy Phaeton. Today we're going to talk about what if Deku had All for One Part 2. I hope you guys enjoy. Izuku would run to UA with a smile on his face, just a giant grin as he's running towards the UA gates and opens them. As he walks down the hall, his heart beats faster and faster, just waiting to see what's through these doors. Kinda hoping that Bakugo was in there and Ida. He opens the door and, well, surprise, surprise, Bakugo and Ida are fighting each other. Not physically, but verbally. Bakugo's asking how far they stuck a stick up Ida's ass at the school he came from, as Ida would just yell about the profanities Bakugo was saying. As he walked in, a brown-haired girl would accidentally bump into him. As he looked around, she would recognize the green hair. "Hey, you're the boy that saved me." "Thank you. Cool quirk, by the way," as Izuku kind of blushed. As, well, his original quirk, the real quirk that he has, is a secret. He knows that eventually he probably will have to tell somebody, so for now he can just keep quiet, but he can have backups. Yeah, it sprung out of nowhere. After all, I thought I was quirkless for the longest time, but, then, 10 months ago, it doesn't matter. Anyway, my name is Izuku Midori, as Uraraka would finally introduce herself again, as Aizawa would show up. "If you're here to make friends, you can leave." Aizawa would walk into the class, as he would tell everybody to get into the UA gym clothes. As everybody goes outside, Aizawa will explain what the physical fitness exam. "Here's the basics. If you fail, I expel you." Uraraka would state her frustrations about this. "Expel us? But we tried so hard to get in here. That's not fair." Aizawa would cut her off with a menacing stare. "Fairness? You're gonna talk about fairness in a hero course, really? Your whole job is centered around unfairness. Don't you understand? Villain attacks, natural disasters, are those fair to you?" As Uraraka would begin to shut her mouth, Izuku got a little frustrated, but it didn't matter in the long run. Aizawa would throwball at Izuku. "You're gonna demonstrate for the entire class. You got 131 points. Prove why you should be here." Izuku stepped up to a circle. "What am I supposed to do?" Aizawa would then state, "You can use your quirk in this course. Just remain in the circle, please." As Izuku would basically just says, "Okay," and he'd throw the ball up. He had to think about it for a second. The only quirk he had at the moment was just a slime monster quirk. But he does remember the properties of the slime. It's elastic like rubber, but he can't absorb things like, how you think a basic slime would work. He thought about this and he tried using the spring aspect of his slime quirk, which allows him to pretty much zoom through the area like a jet. So what he does is he transforms his arm into the slime hand and pretty much punches the ball. The ball would spring into the slime hand, and then he'd use it he would aim it like a gun, as he would allow the elasticity, Jesus freaking Christ, of the ball to shoot towards the direction he wanted. He got around 500 meters, so not as big as Bakugo, but close enough for it to be like an okay. Izuku, unlike in most what ifs, or in most stories about Izuku in general, does not get like number one. He does okay. Because of the nature of his first quirk, it being a slime monster, he can't do a lot. But he does okay. He gets like top 3. Let's just say that, top 3. Pretty much, Izuku stays in, and Aizawa reveals that it was just all a ruse to make everybody try their hardest. As then Aizawa left, he'd state that class is dismissed, they're allowed to go home and such, and Aizawa would bump into All Might, as All Might would express his worry. All Might would then state, "His quirk. That's not what's in the description, is it?" Aizawa would have a menacing glare. "Yeah, he didn't tell us about the slime monster thing. According to the doctors and the research we put into him, his quirk is that he can absorb other quirks. They call it Snatch." As All Might would kind of get worried and even be enraged. Is he like a pupil of All for One? As Aizawa would walk past All Might in a calm expression. "For what I'm seeing, we can't tell, but we shouldn't assume either, because if we are wrong, you just got rid of our best student. Anyway, I should be heading off. After all, I have lessons to prepare for." All Might would still menacing glare and almost spy on Izuku a little. Izuku walked home, but Uraraka would walk home with him. Uraraka would ask Izuku about his quirk, and Izuku would then state, well, truth is, it's not, well, Izuku's about to slip up, but she seems trustworthy, so he tells her a little bit of the truth. It's not my quirk. My real quirk is that I can steal other quirks. As Uraraka got a bit invested. What do you mean by that? Izuku states, I got this quirk because a villain attacked me, and then I used my quirk to steal his quirk, and now I have his. I don't know if I can give it back though, but I can find a way probably. Izuku keeps walking as Uraraka would then state, well, at least you're only using it on bad guys, right? As Izuku would then, nod his head yes, in a very nervous tone. Uraraka would then state, well, if you're only using it for bad guys, then you're still doing hero work. After all, if they're using the quirks for bad things, if you steal them, you can use them for good things. Izuku thought about that for the rest of the night. The next morning, the UA students are just sitting in class and not really doing much when All Might bursts through the door. As All Might would walk in with his happy, cheerful tone, in secret he was glaring at Izuku. No one could really notice this, not even Izuku. After all, he was a fanboy. As he told all UA students to get on their hero costumes and meet him at Ground Beta, and to do that. Now, Izuku's hero costume, I can't keep it like in the original because it would make no sense. The whole point about his quirk is that he can have any quirk, and we need a hero costume that can replicate that. So he's gonna go shirtless with elastic pants. It's the only thing I can think of at the moment. Maybe he'll get a hero costume update every single time he gets a quirk, but at the moment he's just gonna be shirtless with elastic pants. All Might will then explain how the battle simulation would go. Basically, they have to be in a building and there's a bomb. There's a hero team and a villain team. The villain team will have 2 students and the hero team will have 2 random students. All the hero team has to do is capture both villains or capture the bomb. What the villain team has to do is stall the heroes until the bomb explodes, which there will be a time limit, more specifically 15 minutes. As he will then draw, and it turns out that Izuku will be paired with Uraraka, and that they are the hero team, as it would be revealed that Bakugo and Ito will be the villain team. Everybody goes into a special little control room, as All Might would tell everybody to get ready. Alright, Izuku and Uraraka would be sneaking around the building, and eventually they'd realize that the sneaking is useless as they began to hear crackles and booms down hallways. Izuku would morph into his slime monster form as Bakugo would turn around the corner and create a giant explosion. The explosion was rendered ineffective and Izuku tackled Bakugo in slime monster form. Izuku told Uraraka to go find Ida, in which she ran a bit but eventually found Ida. Over his villain monologues and laughing, she realized that Ida was getting into the role real well. Izuku and Bakugo began their battle. Izuku at first had Bakugo under control until Bakugo realized if exploding him directly is not working, maybe he can just boost his own body through Izuku, which he tried that. Jesus Christ! If you hear talking, that's that people are in my house right now, and I don't really want to tell them to stop. So yeah, if you just hear talking, ignore it, please, to your best of ability. Alright, I had to redo this entire part. Anyway. Bakugo pretty much just blasted through Izuku's chest, and he looked back to see the damage, but he realized that the chest was just closing in on itself, and Izuku's slime monster form looked back. In Bakugo's eyes, since the light was kind of broken, all he saw was a green monster with glowing yellow eyes, looking hella menacing and shit. As Bakugo laughed, "Why am I the villain in this scenario when you're clearly it? You green monster. I always called you Deku, but it wasn't. But now I realize I shouldn't be calling you useless. I should be calling you a monster. That's right, you silly little monster." As Bakugo would just do the same thing he did before, blast through Izuku with his own body, and he'd continue to do that until Izuku realized that he had enough. Izuku threw a punch, and it was like throwing a trampoline at somebody. Bakugo sprung to a wall, his back hitting it, and the force almost indented the wall. Bakugo was able to get his footing. As Izuku charged at Bakugo, Bakugo heard a click. It was his gauntlet. Another click, another gauntlet, as he grabbed the pin and pulled. A giant explosion emerged from Bakugo's hand, and Izuku's slime monster form opened its mouth wide open and ate the explosion. That's right, you heard me. It literally ate the explosion. And Izuku, just to mess with Bakugo, transformed back into his human form and walked slowly. It was for dramatic effect, but he began to pick up the pace until Bakugo got it. Steam was running out of Izuku's mouth. Bakugo pulled another plan, another explosion, and Izuku just repeated the process. He transformed into a slime monster, opened his mouth wide open, pause, and then the explosion, pause, was in his mouth. Sorry, you can't make this shit up. Anyway, he is the explosion, transforms back, steam out of his mouth, you know the deal. He keeps walking, and Bakugo at this point is just throwing explosions after explosions. But Izuku is showing the literal mastery over this quirk that he's been training for the past 10 months, only transforming part of his bodies that are necessary for him not to be affected by the explosions. Eventually he got up to Bakugo, and Bakugo, baffled, Izuku just handcuffed him, and now Bakugo is restrained, as he told Uraraka that as long as she can either touch the bomb or restrain Ida, that they should be good and that he's heading on their way. Uraraka would be standing in front of Ida, as Ida found out her position because she chuckled over Ida's, let's just say, getting into this role. He'd zoom at Uraraka and he would try and hit kicks, but Uraraka simply just tagged Ida and made him float. She went for the bomb, but Ida realized that now he's floating, he doesn't have to worry about his feet, and thus he was a little bit faster. Uraraka did, though, hit the bomb first, and thus Team Izuku and Uraraka won. When Izuku and Uraraka and Bakugo and Ida went back to the control panel, All Might would ask which student would be like the best hero or villain in that situation, as Momo out loud would state, it would have been Izuku, sir. All Might would ask her to explain. All Might was kind of annoyed visibly, and everybody noticed it, but he didn't mind it. Momo would state that Izuku was calm-headed the entire time. Ida was too sucked into his role to realize that Uraraka was there. Uraraka, even though she did great, Izuku did a little bit better, and Bakugo was just too sucked in on some rivalry that no one could really tell. And basically, Izuku was not only calm-headed, he had a plan, although he should get points reducted because of his act during the fight. But since it was clearly to trick Bakugo into letting his guard down at the last moment, we can let it slide. Izuku was kind of bewildered. She had so much attention to detail. After this, the same old fights go the same way, so we don't have to talk about them. Days later, classes begin to get boring. They haven't been able to do some hero training stuff in a while until it's announced by Aizawa that they're going to the USJ. All the students are just writing out loud using their quirks, except for Ida, Izuku, Bakugo, and let's just say Momo. And for class president stuff, it doesn't matter. It never really did. But since everybody seemed to like Izuku, and in this, what if Izuku isn't as jittery? I'd say Izuku can just be class president and Momo can be vice president. I don't care. But yeah, Izuku's class president, Momo's vice president, alright? Anyway, they go to USJ, they get their costumes on, and basically the lesson is that they're going to become rescue heroes. Izuku states that this is actually good because his quirk, even though it's not a fighting quirk or a rescue quirk, could be used as both. On the bus ride there, everybody's asking Izuku about his quirk, how cool it is that he has a monster morphing quirk. As Izuku chuckled, he really wanted to tell the class about the reality of the quirk, but he didn't trust them. I mean, to be fair, he's literally stating that he can steal anyone's quirk from basically touching their face. He might think that everybody would just be off, So he just keeps it a secret and he just says, oh yeah, it could just turn into a slime monster. Everybody thinks it's so cool, but Ida looks at Izuku through a bus mirror, realizing that Izuku's acting really suspicious for his actions, but he continues onward. Eventually, they get into the lessons and stuff like that, but Izuku notices a portal. He points it out. Aizawa, is that part of the thing? Aizawa looks as he states, no, it's not. A black mist covers everybody, and Izuku, Sue, and Mineta are teleported to the ship course. Izuku, Mineta, and Sue are kind of freaking out, and Izuku just collects his head, he takes some deep breaths, and he asks Mineta and Sue what their quirks are. Mineta states that his balls are very sticky. By that I mean the balls on his hair, guys. Pause. Sue states that she's a fraud because Izuku, he felt like this was the appropriate time to reveal the true nature of his quirk. Izuku would then state, guys, look, my quirk isn't a slime monster. I can steal others' quirks by touching their face. Anyway, look, if I can touch one of those villains' face, then maybe I can steal the quirk to get us out of here. Unless there's a better idea any of you guys got. As Sue states that she does have a better one. But here's the thing, Izuku was kind of surprised. Sue didn't act a bit different. It's almost like she didn't really care. As Sue would then explain, alright, this is very easy. Since the only quirk you seem to have at the moment is that slime monster's quirk, maybe Mineta could transfer those balls into your slime, and you can just stick all the villains together and we can get out of here. I can probably get us out of here for swimming. Izuku thinks it's a plan and does exactly that. He turns his arms into the green slime, and like Kamui's would tree band special attacks, he does just that and gathers up all the villains at one point. Mineta loads the balls into... Sorry, with this guy, I just gotta make sure everybody knows this ain't gay shit. Yeah, he loads the balls into Izuku's arms, and Izuku sticks all the villains together and stuff like that. And Izuku, Sue, and Mineta all escape the ship course. Izuku, Mineta, and Sue are pretty much near the dock, and they see the Nobu and everything. Shigaraki's doing those old song dances, she's beating up Aizawa with the Nomu, and Izuku sees Aizawa almost get killed, so he transforms into the slime monster and intervenes. Now we have Izuku versus the Nomu. Izuku uses the slime aspect to get around the Nobu's trying to restrain it, but the Nobu just pretty much flex and create air propulsions out of the pure monstrosity that this thing is. And Izuku has to rethink his whole thing. He's trying to use restraints, physical attacks, but they're not working. As Shigaraki states, this Nomu has multiple quirks: shock absorption, super strength, unnatural healing. You can't stand a chance. Izuku, hearing quirks and nothing else because in the mode, then has an idea. Well, I'll just steal his quirk. Izuku turns into his human self and grabs the Nomu's face. Izuku tries to absorb, but he realizes the Nomu has multiple different auras, multiple different quirks, and he just steals the one he can get his hands on the fastest. The Nomu pushes Izuku off, and Izuku is pretty much hit on the ground and dust. It flies up in the air. As it settles, Izuku rises up. Izuku stares at the Nomu as the Nomu would then rush at Izuku and throws a punch, but Izuku catches the punch. As Izuku would then squeeze the Nomu's hand, breaking it. Izuku then punches the Nomu in the face and it's sent flying to the staircase. As Shigaraki would ask what's going on, Izuku would then state, I had to steal the quirk that was easiest to grab. Who knew that'd be super strength? Let's test this one out a bit. And that is what if Izuku had all for one. I was about to say one for all for a second, and that would have been bad. I hope you guys enjoy part 2. Part 3 might come out probably either Monday or Tuesday, because I really want to introduce a new What If Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Please hit a like, subscribe, comment anything you want below, and trust me, I am reading it. And yeah, have a nice day.